Well. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to this unexpected, unplanned, out of nowhere stream. How is it going? How is life? Let me know if you're there and if the sound levels are alright. In the meantime, I will introduce you to what I have planned for today. So, as you know or not know, on Sundays I have morning streams, and they usually are streams on the random topic of sorts. Usually it's some sort of landscape sketches or thumbnails or something along those lines in Procreate. But today I wanted to do something a little different. So let's see if it's watchable content. But we're all about experimenting and testing stuff out here. So today I wanted to sketch out some ideas for the prints that I want to release later this year. So if you have anything to draw along, feel free to bring your own project on this sort of streams. Other than that, if you get any questions along the way or anything you would like to share, feel free to drop a line in the chat. I will, I guess, walk you through my thought process while I'm doing this. So first I wanted to kind of just brainstorm. Let's first see if this is a good brush for it. Yeah, this is fine. So I wanted to kind of brainstorm the ideas, or in general, like print ideas. Nothing too specific. Hello, Nervan. Welcome to the stream. How is your evening going? Are you doing something? Knitting something? Last time it was a sweater. So, print ideas. Nothing too specific yet. Just kind of where my head is at with that. I brought my fingernails with me as a project. Are you painting them in something fun? I hope the lacquer dries fast. So my thoughts with these prints is, to express something, right? So the main, I guess, point behind all of this is nothing, just plain color. Well, plain color can also be fun. So for the printing ideas, my thoughts for the studio prints were kind of to just step away from the design space a little bit, more into something maybe less strict, more experimental. Excuse me. I should have muted myself there. So I will blame it on the grapefruit juice that I have as my drink on the side. Do you have any drinks on the side? Let me know. So something, more, maybe more abstract. I will just start writing down ideas because this is kind of part of the process, brainstorming, right? So something abstract, maybe something, I will put it as philosophical, but it's not really philosophical in itself. It's more, hey Chris, welcome to the stream. Hope you brought your hot beverage with you and a piece of paper. Today, you stepped into a bit of an unusual setting for this stream. Usually there is a specific topic that people vote on Instagram for, and then it's a series of thumbnails. But today, I'm brainstorming some print ideas and sketching them out, and hopefully within the next 2 hours I can also do a Linocut session. Hey, bon appetit. My girlfriend are eating, so we'll just view and listen. Well, this is fair. Enjoy your meal, and happy that you joined. So, abstract ideas, philosophical ideas. Philosophical in the sense that it's maybe something with more meanings than one, or some like concepts. Let's put it that way. And then I also feel like I want to kind of express my adoration for nature somehow. And like this whole, well, let's put it also in words like let's put something mindful here. Mindful. That one is gonna be a bit tricky because what is mindful without being cheesy or on the nose? But at the brainstorming stage, it's just about putting down ideas, right, without much of judgment. There is always time to judge later. So also stuff like colors get messed up. Stuff like, I don't know, arts and creativity and humanness, humanity, human nature, human nature. I see there is a connection there. So something along those lines. Let's see if any of the ideas that come up today will fit into those. But this is where I think my general inspiration comes from for this set of prints initially. Maybe let's pick something easier for now. I also did a little bit of research, as I call it, research on what kind of prints are being popular right now, what are the trends, and in general, what type of stuff people buy. Let me show you what I found. There were a few things that I think make sense if you look around Instagram and other social media. Botanical stuff is on the rise, apparently, and in general, all this. Maybe I'm just brainwashed. Maybe, but that's where my inspiration is coming from. But there is a lot of botanical stuff and nature-inspired things like animals, and I'm not gonna draw animals because I suck at that. But I was thinking about something nature-inspired and botanical. Those seem to be popular, and then typographic stuff, graphic design things. And what I also found interesting is that a lot of the creative coding stuff seems to be on the rise. Hey Vera, welcome to the stream. Hope you brought your Procreate with you. How is it going? So with nature and human nature, let's just like add some more ideas here. I thought, the mascot of the nice. Hope you doodle along something. If you have any questions on how to open Procreate, feel free to ask. So Snail is the mascot of this studio or channel. So maybe there should be like a print of a snail. I think in general it's easier to start because it's kind of like all big personal project, right? So it's easier to start with just stuff that comes to my mind instead of researching the market, what sells, because who knows what sells. Maybe what sells is not something I want to produce. Then what? Didn't think about that. So snail obviously is a great choice. It represents being slow, which is always great. Plants, just because they could have very cool shape design, like leaves or roots, or maybe even flowers. There was one time, long time ago, when there was one stream where we did kind of like a fantasy botanical illustration. Maybe that's something fun. Making up your own plant. Also, fruits and fruits of the plant. Maybe not necessarily fruits, but mostly fruits, let's be honest. They also have kind of symbolic, that's a good word to put here, symbolic meanings, like an eggplant or peach. What else from nature? I think birds would be cool, but birds are pretty hard to carve. at least in my mind, the way I imagine a print with a bird with like a raven or something cool like that. Ravens are obviously one of the coolest birds that's commonly known. I imagine it's pretty tricky to carve. So what other ideas were there? Flowers, plants. This is obviously very broad, right? Because leaves and plants could be anything. But also mushrooms are pretty cool. They have pretty cool shapes sometimes, or patterns. Oh yeah, the other pretty interesting trend was a trend for very minimalistic design, graphic design posters that kind of borderline generative art if you're using algorithms to generate your art. I don't mean AI, I mean creating creative coding kind of things. So that's also something I would like to explore this year. Another cool thing about plants, or a type of plants that could be fun, is trees. They have fun shapes. Also maybe vegetables. Potato. Who wouldn't want to have a print with a potato or a t-shirt? That's just a given. Philosophical symbolic concepts. What does that mean? Here I thought more something like time, you know. Time is pretty symbolic. I also made a typo here. Time, you know, made up concept. Then, I mean, this like creativity in art is also a made up concept, so let's put it also there. But a lot of these type of prints, in my mind, they all require some sort of text with them. So, you know, like it feels like it needs to have some sort of message beyond the image. Or maybe it's just the text. Who knows? But with time, I like time because you can draw clocks in different shapes and types. And clocks can be pretty cool. Let's be honest. Then stuff like keys and locks and keys. Locks and keys. Also pretty, you know, symbolic concepts being locked in your mind. Wait a second, I think the microphone fell. Give me a moment. Alright, sorry about that. should be good now. So locks, keys, this kind of stuff. Also arts, I think I would also put games right there, because being playful and playing games is a skill that you can develop, and I think it's kind of part of creativity and part of being human, because you need to play with stuff to get some unexpected results. Being human. So games, I guess games also, a lot of them have pretty cool symbols, like, you know, chess symbols can be pretty fun to carve. But also dice. I guess dice is also a symbolic thing. You know, luck. I guess that connects with dice. With creativity, I thought, I don't know what would be symbols of creativity, but it could be just the tools that you use. So, you know, like artist tools. Tools of the trade. Can be even a series of prints for each type of medium. What else is there? Being human, I guess, is also having fingerprints. That's, if aliens come tomorrow to our planet and ask me what it is, the defining feature of being human, I don't know why having fingerprints would be the first thing that comes to mind, but I guess a fingerprint is also a pretty cool symbol to paint. Can do a lot of things with it in terms of design and printmaking, I guess. What is left here? Maybe abstract ideas. I thought it was about just some, geometric patterns and some shapes that don't really say anything specific. But also, I guess, abstract concepts. It all is connected. Maybe it's a good time to pause for a second and to pick a few concepts to sketch at first. There is no rush. Ultimately, I can try each of these ideas and see what sticks. But for now, let's pick another color. And think. Well, first I thought it could be fun to doodle some snail related ideas. because, you know, snails. Not that I like snails in real life. I think I like the concept idea of snail, and they also have pretty fells sometimes. But the, you know, the symbolism behind the snail, that's the shit. Then maybe, oh, another thing I had in mind with being ideas that would go into being human set or in symbolic stuff was, or maybe in creativity, I don't know, doesn't matter, I will just put it here, eyes. Because watching and perceiving is part of the process, observing, witnessing. There is a lot of stuff behind eyes that you can put into a print. So some snail stuff. Let's maybe also brainstorm some plant stuff. Maybe eyes, because they were the last to join our roster. Yeah, let's do these three. And then the plan is to doodle some of these sketches in Procreate and then maybe carve one of them in linoleum. Let's see if there is time for that, because there is a mandatory music at the end that is unskippable. So let's see how we go along. In the meantime, I'll just select these 3 topics, maybe together with subtopics for the plants. Just duplicate those. I will use a drawing guide for the frames, just to keep it a little bit more straight. But at this stage it doesn't matter really, right? It's just a sketch. But now I can just duplicate that a few times and maybe group and duplicate again. And then I already have many of those. Look at that efficiency at its peak. So with eyes, it could be just a simple, you know, I'm thinking about it as a Linocut, so I'm kind of imagining wonky, wobbly lines. But it could be either, you know, like a set of prints with eyes in different states of being open. So maybe like one is very much open and another is maybe more closed, but also maybe older with huge bags under the eyes, just like me. It would be also probably fun to make eyes symmetrical, you know, so it's not really clear if it's the left eye or the right eye without those, you know, specific parts of the eyes that you see in the corner of the eye. I can imagine a t-shirt like that would be fun, with just a huge eye watching you. Don't know if it needs a text. Maybe it needs to have some Orwell quotes. Or maybe not, it could be just, you know, the eye of the beholder or of the observer. It could be also like a set of eyes on one, sort of like rising moon, sun, one of those. But it might look creepy. I don't know if it's a bad thing if it looks creepy. Probably not. Maybe it's even a good thing if it looks creepy. But then we can also maybe pop the eye out and just have like an eyeball. Something like this. Maybe it needs some more, you know, like a design element to it. Maybe there should be like a shape in front of it of sorts. Like a triangle. Or maybe some of those other concepts. Also, maybe it needs some veins that look like trees. Maybe this one is looking somewhere off the screen. Maybe there should be like a little fly here or something like that to guide the eye. Or we can set the eyeballs on fire. Don't don't do this at home. But what if we took... It's like an eye of Sauron. Maybe like there can be eyes with weird irises as well. That could be fun. And then instead of... Wait, let's move this one up. Or But instead of the nerve, it could have flames coming out. Something like this. That could be fun. What's your take on eye prints? Is it creepy? Or is it stupid? Can be one or the other. With the snail, I thought it could be just kind of really the mascot that I have here, which is like a roll of air drying clay that's shaped like a roughly like a snail. So it could be just that. I know. If it's a good t-shirt, I wouldn't care that it just has a little snail. You like the eyes? Not creepy, you say. That gives me some confidence. But then snails, they also have very cool designs of their houses. That's another cool part about snails. You know, they carry their own home. That looks a little bit like poop, but you get the idea. I think this is a line that makes it look like poop. But maybe if printed in nice color, this could be fun print. Creative, you say. Well, I appreciate that point of view. So maybe just like a huge spiral carved, and then with some very nice shading. That's not an example of it, but it could be. Something along the lines of some of those old masters of graphics, like Escher, or who else? Dürer was also good. Rembrandt was pretty neat. Maybe the snail is also, maybe the shape of the snail can be different. Maybe it should be just like a very simple icon of the snail. Would be also the skeleton of the snail. You know, like if you take the shell of certain snails and just cut it in half, there is like this very... Don't take the live snail, take the old dead snail shell. And then you could see this. I didn't exactly know how it's structured there. That would be something to research before printing. But something like this. Yeah, I guess it makes sense from this point. but it has this kind of beautiful skeletal shape. You can also imagine that as a print. Maybe together with something from the nature pack, like with some leaves. Or an acorn. Alright, we have snails, we have eyes. Eyes I already carved, but in small. Maybe it's time to carve them in big. Yeah, like the Nervin says, I like the minimalist snail as a t-shirt design. This one? I can also imagine it as a t-shirt. It can be even a whole print if you just repeat it. Maybe it should say snail down. Like slow down, but for snails. I will show myself out. Plants. Plants could be also fun. There are some plants that have very cool leaves, like ginkgo has pretty cool, kind of like shaped almost as a tail of a whale. Tail of a whale? Then oak has very cool shape. Leaves. Something like this. Just random leaves, you know, without anything. Just made up leaves of some generic trees. Those could be fun. In a bouquet. Fruits, I'm thinking pomegranate. That's close enough to pomegranate. Bonsai. Oh, that's a good idea. Bonsai has a very cool shape. Something like this. You. They can have also very cool roots. Bonsai has cool leaves and branches, you see. They do. I don't know much about bonsai though. Is it like a shape of the tree? Or is it the specific type of the tree that is bonsai tree? Or can you bonsai any tree you want? Can I bonsai my cactus? Cactus are also a pretty cool shape. But is cactus bonsaiable? That's the question. Don't know if you can bonsai a cactus. What other fruits could be cool? I think lemons are pretty neat. You know, they are fruits, but you can eat them with fish, but also with tea and honey. So that's pretty neat. Maybe like a homage to lemon would be nice. As I mentioned before, potato, patat as we call it, aardappelen. Maybe the potato should have like this, one of those sprouts or a few of them, because then you know that you kind of shouldn't eat the potato anymore. And it also doesn't taste great, but it's still a potato. You still respect it for what it is. And with pomegranate, maybe it would be really cool to kind of slice part of it out. And leave this, you know, the shape of pomegranate on the inside with those little seeds, pockets. For this sketching, the whole stream today, I'm using this brush that I made that is not really maybe great for sketching. It doesn't change, like it doesn't have pressure. It doesn't have pressure, no pressure brush. So it's very easy to use if you need, you know, to write down some notes, because then it's usually pretty clean. But when Linocutting, I could make the shading a bit less homogeneous, if that makes sense. Although there is a stylistic choice in that as well to make. Roots. With roots, I'm thinking ginger. This looks like a ginger root, right? You would probably recognize it as a ginger root. Among other vegetables, especially if we can make it brown. I don't know if ginger is a vegetable. Also from the trees, maybe, I don't know if it's a good idea because it seems like a pain in the butt. Carrots. Yes, carrots, also a great symbol. Just like the patat. They can also have these stringy roots that might be fun to carve. True, carrots is also a good symbol. But with trees, I thought, you know, if you cut the tree, don't cut live trees, but if you cut a dead tree, you will see those rings inside. And I don't know if it's a good idea to Linocut those rings, because it does seem to be something that would require a lot of precision, but it might be fun to do. And then it also looks a little bit like a fingerprint. And an eye. So if we just put something like this here, then it could be an eye, fingerprint, and the tree slice, all in one piece. What else have I forgot? Well, flowers, I don't know, I think those kind of common flowers like, I don't know, tulips or roses or whatever, meal nuts, those are pretty overused, let's be honest. But stuff like poppies, maybe poppies are fun. Not that they're not used. They have been in art since very, very long ago. But maybe some poppies would be fun to print. It could be like a minimalistic but colorful print with just some pops of color and very minimalistic black ink for the flowers themselves. I don't know if lotus flower is also a thing to use. Could be fun because it's so symmetrical. Or it could be just a made-up flower, you know. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Can be something pretty random. Or like a pine cone, I think that's another thing that would be pretty difficult to carve, I think. It's already hard to imagine the pine cone to draw it. Alright, I think it's time to carve something from these out. I will get the lino cutting equipment out. In the meantime, if you have your favorites, let me know. Maybe you have the same favorites as I do. And then you can see me cut your favorites also, because they will be my favorites as well. The eyeballs full. Alright, we have one voice for the eyeball. One voice for the eyeball. I should start this, what is it called? The auction. The eyeball, 3 carrots. The tree roots. Oh, not carrots. No, I shouldn't start an auction if I can't read. The tree roots and the eyeball. Maybe those two things are actually the same thing. Have you considered that? I bet you didn't. But it might be the solution to everything. Okay, let's switch to this thing. The snail is in the focus. Everything is in its right place. Oops. So the eyeball and the roots. The eyeball and the roots. Let me think for a second. Oh, there it is. Just lost my pencil. So this is the side this is the size that I'm thinking about right now. It's not gonna be big, but you know, I thought if I have like an eye here, it could be like this, and then maybe the roots go here or something like that. I thought if I draw something like this and then scan it, it should be big enough to print on the t-shirt or a little poster. But first, this is kind of, I guess, what is it, 3 by 2? Yeah, it's exactly 3 by 4 is a thought. But first we need to understand what is exactly the composition there with the eye. So this is our workspace. What is this? What does this eye look like? Can be also positioned in different places. Could be like it's as if it's standing on its roots. Maybe like it's a bonsai eye. Oh Jesus, that's a joke. We stumbled upon a joke, ladies and gentlemen. It's bonsai. It was right there all along. So it could be, I don't know, it would be hard to beat it now, I think. Now that I have this image in my head. Maybe it's like a dreamy bonsai that's looking into the stars. Bonsai. It could be a whole character in itself. But maybe it's more kind of at the bottom somewhere, bottom right. And then the trees are not the trees, but the branches of sorts are. Something like this. Does look a little bit more disturbing, I guess. I guess it could be the eye, like if it's covered in the bark. It could be eye with the skin, right? So the eye can have an expression that's like can be very tired eye. Looks a bit weird. But what doesn't these days? So we had roots, we have maybe the what else could be? Maybe it's like a flower, you know. Like if it's a sunflower with those, what are they called? Petals. And this could be an eye. You know what I mean? Something like this. It can be even the same texture as the actual sunflower. This bonsai can also have like some shape behind it, maybe a rising sun. Let's do another sketch. I'm not yet 100% sold on this. Eye. Bonsai wins clearly. I think out of these three, bonsai is the clear king. let's give him a crown. But what is the, what is the look on the bonsai? Maybe it has a terrified expression. Also, it can have multiple eyes, right? Because bonsai can have multiple branches. Looks like it's running somewhere. Help. Yeah, maybe not this one. What if it's like actually this one is like, I like the simplicity of it. I don't know if this direction is a good direction or if it should be more like this way. And then it could, like if it looks this way to the upright, then which one makes more sense in terms of his position? Or is it this way? Maybe this is more natural because it kind of, it lays in this kind of like a flower bed. Mini eyes. Yes. Like a little eyes on the branches, you mean? Maybe we should call it the witness tree, because it's just staring at everything. This one is a bit, it's more like it's laying in someone's hand, which might be also fun for the print, but might not be fun for the eye, but it's pretty weird. I think this one is better when it's kind of more continuous line from the opposite side from the iris. More natural look of the eye outside of the socket, if there is such a thing. And the direction I wanted to watch is probably top right. So that means when I'm carving it, it will have to be mirrored, right? So it should face actually the other direction. Let's just sketch some and see what fits. Maybe this first eye should be really big. This camera doesn't point to anything. It's really high production value for you. I'm sorry about the second camera. The second camera guy didn't show up today at work. Maybe we can fit in like 3 eyes. Or maybe even more if we plan smart. So this one is looking like this way, right? So this one is going this way. This one also should look the same direction, I think. Is it visible, by the way? Not sure. Would be, but maybe this is better. Maybe this isn't. This should be alright. Because it's, you know, pencil. It's not super visible on the linoleum. So it could go like meow. And then from here somewhere it could have like a second hand. It's all about the flow, right? If we're talking about bonsai, it probably is like the shape of the tree is probably the most important part. And if these eyes are looking somewhere there, then maybe the other one, somewhere here, is looking somewhere the opposite direction. Because it's not interested. Whoa. Pencil broke. And again. Okay, let me change it to another. Actually, I don't know where is that other pencil that I had in mind. But I have a pen, so maybe if we move this a little bit up, the eye will be like here. And then the other eye can still be somewhere around here, and this one will also then move a bit up. And then we have some more space for these to kind of go this direction. Yes, now there is enough space for everything. Maybe the roots should be, you know, more stylized. Like Van Gogh and his Starry Night. What is it? It's not the actual name of the painting, right? I think it has a different name. It's like those other famous paintings that everybody knows, like Mona Lisa. It's not the actual name of the painting. He didn't call her Mona Lisa. And yet, maybe we will, instead of completely, you know, bonsaiing it. Tim Burton sketches. Yes. Yes, he is very creative and imaginative guy. That's for sure. But maybe instead of bonsaifying it completely, we can like make it more of a like a flower bonsai. Is it a thing? Flower bonsai? You can probably make a bonsai out of a flowering tree. Right, let's get the sharp tools out. Flower bonsai exists. Does it have a special name, or is it just called flower bonsai? Let's look it up. It's not the same as ikebana. Probably. Or is it? While I'm getting the carving tools out, I guess it's good time as ever to remind everyone who's still here to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or follow if you're watching on Twitch. That helps the channel to grow. Alright, it's carving time. So my thoughts are as following. Everything that's black stays. So for now, I will keep everything here. But let's not do it black, let's do it beautiful watercolor blue. So all of this will be watercolor. Alright, change of plans. Watercolor doesn't stick to linoleum, surprisingly. All of this goes. All of this goes. I will leave some slack for myself to carve the shape later in more details, but for now I will just do like a big carvage to just get the big shape correctly. So this will stay, this will stay, and then with the eyes themselves, I thought, you know, the irises should stay and the outlines should stay, but not the insides of the eyes. So like the outlines I will try to make really narrow, but the irises I will keep. And then it's not is this an iris? Which part of the eye is the iris? There is the black thing, the hole in the eye. There is this thing with the color. And there is the whites. This is the... Is this the iris? Big questions. Anywho, I thought about keeping both the whole and some of this outline. And maybe the outline would be like a patterned shape of sorts. But this thing will go inside. And this also leaves some space to maybe draw something in the veins. Veins also. Yeah, they're also missing. Much more realistic now. But here you can, add something. Maybe there would be like another print here. But this will go, this will go, this will go. Everything on the outside will go. I don't think we will have time to carve it completely, but I want to do at least the first pass of the general shape, and then there will be a classic improvised music session. If you have any preferred genres that you would like me to try and pretend that I know what I'm doing with, you can send them in the chat. I had in mind, I recently finished watching the 5th season of Stranger Things, and that one is full with 80s nostalgia music. So in a way... Oh, you too? Nice. I don't know if anyone else watched, so I don't want to spoil it for everyone. But there was so much 80s in it that I think since then my mind is filled with synths and 80s drums. So maybe that's something we're gonna do today. It was disappointing though, the ending. I felt like there were 5 or 6 endings. I don't know, when I watched the final episode, I think I felt like it ended so many times before it actually ended that felt a bit awkward. The sketch looks like it's coming from the upside down. Well, a bit, yeah. It does have the vibes. There's also some black goo now here, so that adds to the aesthetic. I kind of fell not really out of love with Stranger Things, but like after the first season, I really enjoyed the first season. I felt like they brought this cool mix of nostalgia vibes and D&D and all that stuff. and some really spooky, I don't know what's happening kind of feeling. So I think those worked really well together, and it was kind of new in the vibe. But after the first season, I just felt like I mean, I don't know, they probably have planned it ahead, right? But for me, it was the novelty of the first season that really struck a chord, because it was, I guess, fresh. But by the end of the first season, you kind of know what's happening and who's behind the things that are happening. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. Not that anyone here cares, I guess. But just in case people will watch the recording and want to still enjoy the first season, you agree. Yeah, it has this, it has this novelty, and the whole season you kind of feel like you don't know if it's gonna end well or not, and who's gonna get in trouble, and like what's gonna happen. And big part of the season you also don't know even what the hell is happening. And I think figuring that out during the season is one of the big fun parts of the show, whereas the other seasons that they shot afterwards, they already built the whole premise with this upside down and all this Demogorgon stuff, and who else is there? The lab and military and all this. We're trying to add another angle, but maybe this is not working. I'm sorry, guys. Let's just switch this off. This is ridiculous. Also, I can zoom this one in a bit. Then it probably will be more visible. So yeah, the rest of the seasons, they already had this whole premise built up, so there was no, at least I can't remember learning something during any of the other seasons that would make me feel like I learned something completely new and amazing about this world that changed my understanding of it. Vera says the visuals were really strong though. The visuals were pretty good. I don't know in terms of like the graphics, they were okay. Like they were, like, I think on the regular Netflix TV show level, but I think they had really good, designers working there, because they made so many campaigns and they played so hard on this beautiful glowing red light that they picked for this. And it's also such a good pick somehow, like this warm glowy color in which they read the text. And you can see it everywhere, like throughout the whole series. I think they used it for, like, from design point of view, pretty well. I'm almost done here with the general outline. general outline can be in the army. What type of paper are you using? Depends on what for. This is not paper that I'm carving into. This is linoleum. But the paper underneath it, if that's what you mean, or the carving. The carving is in linoleum. I only found two. It's not really any brand or any specific type. It's in the craft store. There are two types of linoleums that I saw and worked with. One is this flexible one that kind of just is your regular linoleum thing, and another is this kind of canvas for just $5.50. Get this amazing piece of German-made linoleum, but it is kind of grounded canvas, so like it has very different structure, and if you can see it, like if you bend it, it kind of breaks instead of bends, and when you carve it, it also behaves differently. So I think this is probably better for very thin lines, and watch me ruin this new piece of linoleum. But yeah, for practice and for just trying stuff out, I think this generic linoleum, this one I think was like €3.50, so it's not that bad. And you can use quite, like you can cut it in a few pieces and just do a lot of tests. And it's very forgiving because it's this kind of flexible thing, so it doesn't slip as much, I think, than the other one. At least that's been my experience with it. I wish I knew more about linoleums to tell you. Should I carve the eyeballs, or should I leave it for later? That's the question. Yeah, so because of these Stranger Things, maybe today I will try to do some 80s music. You never know, with these improvisation jams at the end, I never know how they go, how they will go, because that's, I guess, the nature of improvised stuff. But at some point, I guess, if you practice a lot, if you look at jazz musicians, for example, like professional jazz players, they practice a lot, they play complex music, and eventually they become able to improvise jazz on the spot in a given key. And I feel like this is a really cool skill to have, which I don't at the moment. But it's not about necessarily producing a good piece of music, in my case, rather than experimenting and playing with music instruments. You're too sweet. Did you, Chris, watch Stranger Things? Right, so now I can get the bigger tool. Maybe the round one is good for this. And then just kind of get rid of this bunch. Just watched Fallout. You're completely lost in Fallout? I haven't watched it. Is it on HBO? If it's on HBO, I will watch it. Somebody told me it's like the best adaptation of game to cinema. Oh, it's Prime. Well, is there anything else good on Prime that would be worth paying? €5. Is it still 5? 6? The bones. That does look a bit Stranger Thingsy. Maybe when I'm done with this poster, we should write to Netflix and send them this 3D Vecna's bonsai tree. Well, it has 3 eyes, so if we work hard, we can make them in 3D. I can highly recommend Linocut, by the way. If you guys never tried it, it's very relaxing experience. Unless, I guess, you mess up. This is so challenging. Good job. Well, thank you. And if these tools that I have, that I'm using, are just the cheapest ones that were in the same craft store, and I bought them, I think, in September. So it's a very easy hobby to enter, and yet it can occupy 100 hours in the dark, cold winter. ASMR. I don't know, these ASMR videos, they get so many views. Sometimes I'm thinking I'm in the wrong job. I should be just streaming some sketching or sharpening pencils for like 3 hours. There are some other more disturbing ASMR video contents though, where there is, like art ASMR, when somebody is just drawing with the pencil with the microphone really close to the pencil, and then you hear the pencil scribbles, but the person doesn't talk and there is no music. But that, okay, I can understand it, just also chill. But then there are some other ASMR videos where it's like just people making noises of different sorts. And that is beyond my understanding. But those ladies, they give even more views. And if you're talking Twitch, ooh, those bits and subscriptions be flowing. Uh-oh. I messed up one of the eyes. Alright. Miss Chris says, missed so much of the last hour, but what are you carving out of it? And why are you carving out of it? Well, that's a valid set of questions. First one was, what are you carving out of it? That's an eye, bonsai, if you know, to be specific. Because the eye is, you know, it symbolizes a lot of things, observing nature and things around you, the world, witnessing events happening, and also watching and appreciating the falling leaves and the petals of the sakura tree. So that's the eye. That's the what. Why does it have tentacles and roots? Would be a very valid question, probably to my therapist rather than to me. But we were just trying to combine something natural with the eyes. And if you're asking why the heck I'm just doing this in January, what's the point of carving eyes in linoleum? Well, that's a deeper question. Chris meant what's the material? Not why the material. The material is linoleum. You can get it in Pipos. You know, there is like a chain of shops in the Netherlands called Pipos. That's where I got the set of this paper poetry carving tools and the linoleum. And the second question is, why do you have to carve it out? Well, I don't have to carve it out, right? There is no life or death situation. But I thought, you know, for prints, well, one option would be to paint it and just have it painted. That would be an option for some other prints. But for this one, I thought it might be fun to also try to have a print made from, you know, prints. Am I making sense? Print made out of linoprint. I hope it makes sense. It has a pretty cool texture when you print it on like a good quality paper. And then I will scan it. And also, you know, like when you're linocutting, you're kind of making different choices than if you're painting. So all the lines that I'm, so to say, drawing with the carving tool are very different in their design than the lines that I would draw, even if I would like to draw an image that looks like a Linocut. So I guess in short, why do I have to cut it is to achieve a specific look and texture that is only achievable with Linocut printing. I will just deepen this line here and then try make one print just to see how it looks with this outline, and then we will have a little music session, and then it's a stream. So you will scan it after. Yes, so I will first make a print of it, you know, like if you have 10 more minutes, I will show you in a moment. But, you know, put some paint on this, put the paper, bam, you have a print, right? And then that thing in itself can be sold online to people who want to buy it, which for now aren't many. But first, it can be sold just as a print. Second, I can, you know, make more prints, like this Linocut prints, and then sell those kind of as original artwork. But I want to use a print-on-demand service. So there I need to upload a PNG image, actually. So for that, I would need to scan it otherwise, either way. Okay, seems like it makes sense. And on Sunday morning, we are streaming again, the usual stuff, which is usually it's some sort of environment design. Do I think 11 lives or 11 lives? I think 11 lives. Yes. Probably. I can't imagine anyone dying in Stranger Things after the first season. Did anyone actually dies in the whole 5 seasons? Let's spoil it. 11 lives. That's how many lives cats have. Wait, what have I seen? I have seen it. I have seen the final episode, but I don't remember well the season 2. Oh, true, that's 9 lives. Well, there was no character named 9, so I guess we'll have to stick with 11 or 8. Wasn't there someone with a tattoo of 8? Anyway, I don't remember season 2, 3, and 4 very well. in terms of what was happening and if we lost any characters. I know we gained some characters, but anyway, I think I will leave it for now like this, and let's just try to make like a test print. Because carving out, the details of the bark and the eyes will require, first of all, it will require some break for my hand, because after a while of carving, the hand gets really tired. See, I have this print paint here. Blue. And also there is some, I need to get the print paper. Was Eddie, oh wait, was he, in which season was he? I remember the death of Eddie, that was a big one. I just thought that it was all in the first season. Still puppies. Alright, I have this paper, which is supposed to be some Japanese rice paper, which again is supposed to be really Master of Puppies. I like Master of Puppies better. This print paper is supposed to be very good for prints, so let's see how it works. Here. This is Master of Puppies. The moment of truth. It's a bit much, too much of paint, I think, but should be fun. And then we just align it roughly. And then we take this drum roll. Right, you need to first apply some pressure. There are even special tools for this. I think there is like a glass thing that people use to roll over the backside of the print. I mean, the other special tools for that are called printing presses. The moment of truth. Oh. Okay, we need more paint. Let's try. Let's try with more paint. Maybe I didn't spread it well enough. But it has this texture that I like. I don't want to have it that much textured, but somewhat textured is pretty neat. And I think it also matters how much pressure you apply, right? So if we're working here with just me pressing with one finger, that's not that much pressure. Stylish texture. This is rolling everywhere. Madness. Alright, let's try another one. This one we do this way. Well, not like this. Is this big enough even? Okay, let's try this again. Let's more product placement. It's a very good book, by the way. I can highly recommend. Composition and narrative. Okay. I can show you while it's pressing. It's very pretty. And it has all these, explanations, tutorials, how to create beautiful images. Press a little bit more. Could be also that either I'm just doing something wrong, drum roll, or maybe it's the ink or the paper, or the amount of it. Alright, this is better. I guess if I next time put a little bit more ink on it, it will look alright. And now imagine, these parts are out. This is all out. And then here we'll have like some cool leaves sticking out, and this will be all like a tree texture. Can look pretty cool, I think. And then obviously here we'll have the irises. And then it would be a t-shirt. Alright, I think this is where the printmaking part of this stream is gonna be wrapped up. And now there's just one little thing to do.